Hello, I'm Evans Mirageas, the Harry T. Wilks Artistic Director of Cincinnati Opera. Opera is all around you, everywhere you look in Cincinnati. And one of the most beautiful things about opera and symphonic music is that composers are always trying to bring nature into the concert hall and the opera house. And why not? Because nature is ever renewing, nature is ever fascinating and mutable. And one of the things that makes La Traviata so beautiful is that nature is in Traviata. Just outside of downtown Cincinnati, there is a beautiful 19th century home and gorgeous garden belonging to Moo and Robin Sinclaire. A similar home and garden could just as easily be outside Paris, where Violetta Valéry and her new lover, Alfredo Germont, repair for an idyllic time in the countryside. That time in the countryside is soon to be shattered by the pivotal point which takes place in a garden. Follow me. The story of La Traviata actually begins in 1824 in a small town in Normandy, many, many miles from Paris. In that year, a girl by the name of Alphonsine du Plessis was born. By the age of 12, she was a prostitute. And by the age of 16, she had moved to Paris with her father. And because of her incredible beauty, she became something a little bit more than a prostitute of the time. She became a courtesan, the mistress of a successful number of wealthy lovers. In the 1840s, when she was still only in her 20s, she met Alexandre Dumas the younger, and they had a brief love affair of about a year and a half. 2 years later, in 1847, she died. And very soon after that, a novel was published called The Lady of the Camélias, La Dame aux Camélias, which was a thinly veiled account of her life told by her former lover, Alexandre Dumas. Now you have to understand that about this time in the middle 1840s, Giuseppe Verdi had come to Paris to live and work as well for a while. And there he reunited with a woman who had been a muse for him throughout many of his operas. Her name is Giuseppina Strepponi. And by 1847, they too were lovers outside of wedlock. Verdi was a widower. Madame Strepponi had 2 illegitimate children by an opera tenor several years before. But theirs was a life lived outside the norms of society as well. I cannot help but think that La Traviata's story, the story of Alphonsine du Plessis, who became Gautier in the novel and then Violetta Valéry in the opera, rang so true, so personally with Verdi for his own compromised personal situation. Even after Verdi and Strepponi married some years later, in Geneva, not in Italy, when they went back to Sant'Agata, to their own equally beautiful gardens, all the people of Verdi's hometown of Busseto shunned Strepponi nearly to the end of her life. They never called her Signora Verdi. They always called her La Strepponi. So when Verdi must have seen the play in the middle to late 1840s in Paris, this story of 2 lovers working outside the confines of society must have appealed to him tremendously personally. Verdi was a very private man. He rarely opened the door into his private life. But this opera is truly a look into the real man Verdi as well as the great artist. We're in this garden because the pivotal scene in Verdi's La Traviata takes place in a garden. Here, Violetta Valéry, the now famous courtesan in Paris, has retired because she has found what she thinks finally is her real, true love. His name is Alfredo Germont. He's a very nice young man from the provinces, from Provence, as a matter of fact. And what distinguishes him from her other lovers is that, first of all, he's young and handsome, and secondly, he doesn't really have any money. Violetta has been very shrewd in her finances, and they are living on her money blissfully in the countryside outside of Paris. But it all comes shattering down one afternoon, maybe an afternoon as similarly sunny and beautiful as this, when a stranger comes to visit Violetta. It's Alfredo's father, come all the way from Provence because he has heard that his son is consorting with a prostitute. They have a terrible problem, the Germont family, because Alfredo has a sister who is about to be married. And if news should reach Provence that her brother is consorting with a prostitute, not only would the marriage be ruined, but the family's name would be dirt. And so, in a most touching, pivotal scene in this opera, Germont finally persuades Violetta to give up Alfredo. All she can do is lie and pretend to return to her former life. But this incredible transformation, this incredible growth in this woman's character takes place in the most beautiful setting of all, amid nature. Our production of La Traviata features a real-life married couple, Stephen Costello and Eileen Perez. What Verdi achieved in La Traviata was bringing a story from real life onto the operatic stage. And ever since its premiere in 1852, the opera has captured the hearts of opera-goers all over the world. I hope it will capture yours. 2 performances only of La Traviata, July 26th and 28th, to end our 92nd season of Grand Opera in Cincinnati. For Cincinnati Opera, I'm Evans Mirageas.